This is Zach again here with another Consulting Quick Chats. And today I have with me Omari. Omari, you and I, we met during campus onboarding here at Capgemini. So he is a recent hire with Capgemini, just like myself. I am in the CSD practice, and Omari, you are also in?
I'm in the DCX practice.
DCX, which
an emphasis in Salesforce.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I just wanted to make sure that people know acronyms. I'm in CSD, which is custom software development, which is a bunch of different lines. I'm specifically in Microsoft, but DCX is digital customer experience, which is mainly Salesforce, right?
Mainly Salesforce.
Yes. And everyone loves acronyms, especially in consulting. That's one of the the things that you definitely had to get up to speed on once I joined. It's all these acronyms. Everything has an acronym, but of course you learn it after a couple of months. But so we joined together. We're both recent hires with Capgemini. But the most interesting thing that I found about Omari, and the reason why I wanted to have a consulting quick chat with him, is that we're not technically both recent grads. So while I am a older second grad, Omari, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your background and what you did pre-joining Capgemini?
Yeah. So, for myself, I actually, I went to a traditional school after high school. But, I recognized that, for myself and, some of the long-term career goals that I had, I didn't exactly know if school was kind of in the picture there. And so for myself, as opposed to, making that large financial commitment and not truly being focused, just to be honest with myself, I ended up not completing school, not completing college. And, I tried to find something I was passionate about. Even though, in the back of my mind, I always kind of knew that I did have quite an interest in technology, right? But that barrier to entry that, did come with college, right? I was lacking. So in the end, I ended up working, kind of focusing in retail and had an opportunity to own a retail store out here in Atlanta. But it kind of got to a point where, I wasn't really feeling that fulfilled, to be honest with you. Even though I was seeing success there, right? And it was interesting because a buddy of mine actually heard about in an Uber this free tech boot camp, basically, right? And of course, too good to be true. So I didn't really pay it any mind. But that buddy of mine actually ended up going, through the school, their application process, and once he was enrolled, and that was kind of like the proof in the pudding for me. So I started giving it a little more research and saw that they had a full stack software engineer program, and said, hey, what the heck, let's give it a shot. Yeah. And ultimately, I went through the same application process, and I was lucky enough to get an opportunity to go through that program. And at the end of that program, I mean, for one, I didn't even know if I was going to make it to the end of the program. This was right when COVID and everything was just kicking off. My program started like May 1st or something. The world shut down on like May or like March 18th or something like that, right? So there was I definitely wasn't going into the classroom anymore. But they actually did a really great job of making sure that we were all, set up to work from home and kind of study from home and go through our lessons and everything like that with our instructors. And we were all connected and had great resources. Like any time, it's kind of at that point now where I'm like, anytime somebody kind of asks me about my experience, it's like, not only did they do the best, given the circumstances, it was just an extremely awesome experience for me overall. Hope that kind of answers your question. Per Scholas, software engineer full stack program, and then that led me to Capgemini.
Yeah. So the name of the program, I think you mentioned it just at the end, was Per Scholas, and it's
Per
You
Scholas.
joined the Atlanta cohort, and yeah, it sounded like he's mentioned that it was originally supposed to be in person, so it was in-person
Yeah.
instruction, but then due to COVID, it switched to online, right? So
Right.
yeah, so definitely, and yeah, we have that in common. That I mean, I went to school, but I'm a degree changer because again, my first
Yeah.
degree, just my background, I did hospitality. I mean, I loved Marriott; it was a great experience, but then I switched that and worked myself. Similar to you, I worked not retail, but I did wedding photography, and then went back to school. So again, went back to school, official school, but re-educated myself like you. Got into tech through a education program, and then joined Cap. And so you did it was a full stack. Was your education at Per Scholas? Was the training in it? Yep.
And then it was I was gonna say I actually almost didn't even go down that path. I remember when I went in for like an information session, they were, they had a few different programs, and it was between I think like network engineering and full stack, and they were like, this one was pretty much already filled and always kind of filled. Yeah. I was like, I'm not even going to apply. I'm not even, let me just have my, let me just get my foot in the door here.
Yep.
And then, I wrote on the paper, network engineering. And I remember at the end of the information call or information session, just kind of just before I left to go home, like, but this is what I actually want though, and so, I went back and I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, do you mind if I change my thing? And, ended up changing it, and hey, it all worked out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So you didn't want to, if you had that gut feeling, you didn't want to, okay, this is kind of what I want. So yeah, let's go for it. And they supported you. It sounded like they found a spot for you in the full stack. And so I guess explain a little bit about the length of the program and kind of what you learned. Because I'm curious. I've heard the name Per Scholas thrown around in Capgemini because Capgemini works with them, obviously. I don't. Can you fill me in a little bit more about what Per Scholas is all about, and what kind of your experience with Per Scholas was?
Yeah. So, Per Scholas essentially is an organization that targets people looking to get their foot in the door in the tech space, the IT space, right? That would normally have been overlooked by certain opportunities, right, within their communities, as well as who, certain communities where just getting that traditional education path is just more difficult, right? So, and that was kind of why they were able to offer a program that was no cost, right? Now, although it did take full commitment, full time commitment, it was ultimately they were. I guess the awesome part about them is that they've set themselves up in a way to where it can be. It just makes the most sense, right, to somebody who might be in their target demographic there. So the course itself was 4 months.
Oh, 4 months. Okay.
Yep. 4 months. And what we did was, so I want to say, 4 out of 5 days of the week, you're doing instruction, right? With your instructors, obviously. And then 1 day of the week is dedicated to career development. And you're working with a small team to, every week it's something different, which was like, it was pretty awesome. But 1 week you're working on, say, how to actually build out your LinkedIn, right? Another week you're working on, all right, let's establish some actual career goals here and, clearly define them, right? And be a little more strategic. Another week might be, all about interviewing strategies, interviewing skills. And so just the variety there, right? Yeah. And it really did fully encompass, that career development, so that, they weren't just teaching us, to build a couple JavaScript projects and then just throwing us out there and just saying, all right, go get hired. It was really, they were really focused on, by the end of that 4 months, that we were confident, right, that we had the know-how, right, to navigate the job market, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and keeping our, keeping our expectations right in a good space as well, right? I mean, when even before the actual end of the course, they were promoting us to go out there and start applying for jobs, and just get that, feel that energy of what it takes, right? To really be on the grind, looking for opportunities for yourself, and I would say, so that when that course actually ended, I mean, I was 120% confident that I was going to find an opportunity, and that I definitely, part of that obviously is, comes down to the individual, right? In terms of that pursuit. But I think a large part of it in this case was just them making, Per Scholas, making sure that we were prepared, right? Not only on a technical front, but in that more
the
personal,
whole holistic.
Right, exactly. A whole holistic approach.
That's awesome. I mean, I didn't know that encompassing. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned like boot camp, so of course you think, oh yeah, they'll show you how to,
Yeah, we just code all day
or something. Yeah, but but they really are concerned about your total development. Yeah, like life skills, career skills of like resume building, sounds like confidence building to be on the market, interview skills. Yep. And that's what led you to Cap. And how did you hear about Capgemini?
Yeah. So, and it's interesting because, I think one of the main appeals, right, of going to a traditional college or university, right, is ultimately those networking opportunities that you're, that you're gonna develop, those relationships that you're gonna develop over time. And, in the end, for me getting my opportunity at Capgemini, this was actually something that was, they, Per Scholas, their team did a great job of constantly sending us opportunities through email, various consulting companies, various, small businesses, large businesses, who they had already communicated with, right? And so it wasn't just a blind LinkedIn application or a blind Glassdoor application, which
there's already a connection there, sort of between the
exactly. So I remember one day, I got an email from somebody named Brandy over at Per Scholas, and she was the one always sending out these opportunities. And so every time I saw her name pop up on my phone, I'm immediately swiping up. And it said opportunity at Per Scholas, had a little information in the email, had a link, opportunity at Capgemini, and went through that link, and kind of the rest was kind of history there. But, of course I had to go through the whole interview process with Capgemini and everything like that. But yeah, that's kind of how I found my way to Capgemini. I, of course, had other interviews and stuff like that. But, once kind of, I think the opportunity that was sent over from Capgemini, from Per Scholas, was more of what I was looking for, in terms of a relatively large organization that is going to give me more opportunities to learn, right, than just throw me to the wolves in kind of my development career, right?
Yeah. I mean, 100% agree. That's definitely one of the reasons I chose it. Just to have the training backing, whereas a startup maybe not have as many resources, but you have entire large organization around you. I wanted to just real quick. I know these are supposed to be quick, but you had a great conversation. I want to hear more about DCX, because I am not super familiar with DCX and actually what you guys do. I know that it is Salesforce, which is kind of a big area as well. I'm just like saying CSD. It's like all custom software, which is like literally could be anything. But tell me a little bit about DCX. How did your kind of onboarding? Because we split onboarding after we did new hire. I went to CSD onboarding. You went to DCX onboarding. So, can you just, since we're both new hires, can you tell me briefly about what your DCX training was in Salesforce, what Capgemini did for you there, and then just a little bit about your current client and your first client that you're on right now.
Yeah. So, like you said, when we kind of broke off, everybody kind of split up from onboarding, right? I went to Salesforce training, and Salesforce training was, I want to say, about 2 months. And that was run by Ryan Travolta and Marshall Brown, two awesome instructors. Just two great guys out of the Columbia office. But it was very like they put together a very well structured course. There's some self-paced stuff. There's some instructor led kind of things, but for the most part it was very much project based and team based, and that along with onboarding really got me prepared for when I did get put on my first project and working in that small team, right? And understanding business requirements, understanding how to properly come up with user stories and refine them, and kind of go back to kind of referencing back and making sure we're actually accomplishing the target here. And so for 2 months and what's the word 2 months and kind of quite a few projects later, I really felt prepared to kind of take on that first project. And actually the way that split up for Salesforce at least is, there's a couple weeks dedicated to that initial Salesforce administrator certification. And then from there, we go to more of an emphasis on that app builder certification, or activities that would be aligned to that app builder certification. And then from there, I want to say the last one is that developer certification, which is a little more, the first two are a little more declarative, kind of point and click configurations, right? And then that developer is a little more on the JavaScript side.
Gotcha. And are you so now you're in your first project, are you using those skills like kind of on the job? How is do you interact with clients? Do you develop? What's your current what are you doing right now, I guess they say?
Yeah, so right now since the day that I got out of my Salesforce training, I quickly transitioned onto my first project, and right now I'm working with an aviation company. And we're actually building out, we're taking over from a previous company, but working on a CPQ, which is another kind of avenue of Salesforce.
Which is CPQ for those who don't know Salesforce.
Yeah, CPQ stands for Configure, Price, Quote. Okay. And so for organizations that might have a little bit more complex of a business process, right? This CPQ, we've been able to tailor kind of Salesforce's, we've been able to kind of tailor some of Salesforce's just out of the box functionality, which is hugely extensive, right? But some companies just need it a little more customized.
Yep.
And that's what we've been able to, really accomplish here. And the pure learning experience from that day one on the project, right? And kind of where I'm at now in terms of my comfortability with Salesforce, and not only Salesforce, but working with clients and helping out with managing kind of not only managing expectations of clients, but our offshore team, and making sure that they understand what they're supposed to be doing, and I'm communicating in a way that I'm taking what needs to be done and giving it off to these people that we're not going to see for the next 12 hours, right? And being confident that it's going to get done right, because I've learned at this point how to properly communicate on both sides there.
Yeah, so you meant offshore. Yeah, so I do mostly onshore. You do offshore. So you were working with when we say offshore, it's the India team, the India counterparts at Capgemini.
Yep. So I would say that my role right now is a little more 50-50 in terms of what do you call it? Business administrator?
A business analyst, sort of, or
analyst. There we go. Yeah. So I would say that right now my role is a little more 50-50 in terms of in terms of BA, business analyst, and kind of half developer. No, that developer side is more so on the working with our solutions architect to, kind of dig through some of these business requirements, see what's the best way to accomplish this, right? And maybe that means coming up with a POC. And so that's kind of where my kind of extend as a developer, or just troubleshooting something, what's going on here, right? So that we can just provide solutions to our offshore team, right? Solutions that we've already validated, right?
Yep.
Make the most sense. Yeah, that's kind of my day to day right now.
It sounds awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's a good mix for anyone that's watching this, interested in technology. It's like it could be all coding, or it could be someone like you who's doing a mix of both, right? That you
Yeah, for sure.
putting both skills to work.
That was exactly what I wanted. Sorry to cut you off there, but
Yeah.
I think from day one on my project, I was, I just really wanted it to be known that, like, hey, I'm whatever you need done, I will do it. Like if it's a PowerPoint or if it's an Excel sheet, right, that you need put together, just I got it, right. So anytime, my project manager is like, hey, we need a PowerPoint for this presentation coming up. Yep, I got it. Just because for me, right, and kind of an extension on, kind of what led me to even want to go through Per Scholas and kind of really, make this switch, right, was that, I, in the back of my mind, I had this, and still do, I had it during onboarding, had during Salesforce training, that, like, I don't have that piece of paper, so to speak, right? That degree. And so for me, I need it to be well known that, my proof is in the pudding in terms of, my skill set, right? My ability to get things done. And so that's why, when I first rolled on to my first project, I was volunteering for everything. Because it's a limiting belief for sure, but it's a limiting belief that I'm okay having, that I'm climbing an uphill battle. Right. But the reality is, nobody knows I don't have a degree unless I tell them. Right. But, just as a result of me kind of taking those actions and just being just ridiculously just trying to create those opportunities for me to prove my value to my team. Right. Before I knew it, I was going from making Excel spreadsheets and PowerPoints that would never get shown to anybody, that were literally just scrapped, to, I was, a couple weeks later, I'm pitching user stories to the client, for sign off. Right. And, that's on Monday. I'm rehearsing on Sunday. You know what I mean? Just at home. And then from there to, getting opportunities to really be a little more hands-on in terms of, my value input, right? In working with kind of some of the more senior folks on the team. And I'd say that's, it's been a fun journey, up until now. And I 100%, like, every time I think back on kind of, how I ended up here, it's a big part of that was, Per Scholas kind of, again, managing, helping me to, see how I can best navigate, right, my technology career, and kind of make the most out of, the opportunities that are presented to me. And I hope that wasn't too all over the place, but
no, it was great. Yeah, like super informative, super enlightening. And I mean, we're both new hires, but I'm a experienced hire. I mean, you definitely seem like you have your stuff together. I don't know if I can say other words, but yeah, I mean, and you are set up for success. I mean, I definitely see you going places. And as you mentioned, I feel like, you know what you want. Per Scholas kind of gave you some of the tools, and Capgemini is hopefully, giving you those avenues and those opportunities to grow in your role. And it sounds like you've already, taken those chances anytime you have a chance to volunteer, and Yeah, I mean, I see nothing but success for you. So
Thank you,
I
man. Thank you.
wish you the best. I'm sure I'm going to see you when I check your LinkedIn. I'm sure I'm going to see those going up places from here on out. So just wrap this up quickly. Anything else you want to say? Thank you so much for your time. We're both busy, both on projects. So I
Yeah.
appreciate taking a little time to speak with me this morning to put out a
Of
little extra
course.
content for all the viewers and listeners
Yeah.
to this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think my kind of closing words would be, that's it's funny. I actually just had them in mind, and now they're gone. Um, but no, I say my closing words would be anybody who is kind of you know wanting to considering something like um, a switch into technology, right? Um, or is looking at a program like Per Scholas, right? Or even just a boot camp in general, right? Um, just take it, because like I said earlier, right? You're getting those. Yes, you're getting the skill set, but you're opening a door to opportunities. And I'll tell you, I'll probably put out 200 applications, right? But the one that actually landed me this opportunity at Capgemini
Mhm.
wasn't an email from my boot camp, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I would, even in addition to that, some of my best interviews up until then were from emails that that connection had already been made, right?
Mm.
So yeah, anybody who is anytime looking for a shift, or just may even be a little lost, right, in kind of what they want to do, but feels a little scared because of their educational background and kind of how it might be a limitation. I honestly, I always pitch Per Scholas, because I went through the system. I'm living proof that it works. It's not too good to be true.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess that's kind of where I'll leave it.
I appreciate. Yeah, that's all good. I mean, everything you said is amazing. So, thank you so much again, Omari. I'll let you go back to your exciting aviation company meetings. I'm sure you have lined up.
Oh yeah.
But
Tons
yeah,
of
take
fun.
care. Best of luck. I'm sure we'll talk more on Teams. But thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, man. Have a great day.
You too.